The skeletal system. Bones. To know the norms of temperature, pulse, and respiration of domestic animals. 2. To know the signs of illness exhibited by change in the norms of temperature, pulse, and respiration. Calcified regions of bones act as sink and a source for many of the required minerals of the body. Because of attachment of muscles to bone, many body parts can be moved. Bones are dynamic structures that are capable of accommodating to different loads and stresses by remodeling. Function can be restored to broken bones by the process of bone repair. Bones of the body are basically similar among animals but vary according to size, shape, and number. Bones of the skeleton are classified as belonging to either the axial skeleton or appendicular skeleton. Axial skeleton lies on the long axis midline of the body. Skull, vertebrae, ribs, and sternum. Structure and functions. Appendicular skeleton is made up of the bones of the front, pectoral, and hind pelvic limbs as well as their respective pectoral girdle, shoulder, and pelvic girdle, pelvis. Pectoral girdle, scapula, clavicle, coracoid, pelvic girdle, ilium, ischium. The horse skeleton. Long bones, composed of compact bone and spongy bone. Compact bone appears to be solid while spongy bone has the appearance of the sponge. In spongy bone, there are trabecular spicules of mineralized tissue and the empty spaces between the trabeculae are filled with bone marrow in living animals. Rigidity and strength of long bones is not only due to the hardness of the compact bone, but also by the scaffolding arrangement of the trabeculae, which are generally parallel to lines of stress and act as pillars for stress points. Long bones. Epiphysis of a long bone is at either end of a long bone. Consists chiefly of spongy bone with a thin outer layer of compact bone. Epiphyseal plate (physis) is composed of hyaline cartilage and represents the point of growth in the longitudinal direction. Hyaline cartilage is normal type. Matrix is glassy, bluish, white, and somewhat translucent. In mature animals, the cartilage has been replaced by bone and epiphyseal lines remain where the plate last existed. The contact area of the bone that articulates with its neighboring bone, the amovible joint, is covered with articular cartilage. With exception of the joint surfaces, all other outer surfaces of the bone are covered with periosteum. Long bones. Periosteum is composed of an outer fibrous layer and an inner cell-rich layer containing osteoblasts. Osteoblasts synthesize and secrete the organic substance of bone. Osteoblasts participate in the mineralization of the organic matrix. Periosteum is responsible for the increase in diameter of bones and also function in the healing of fractures. Haversian system. The unit of structures of compact bone composed of central Haversian canal surrounded by concentric layers of bone. The lamellate. Bone cells, osteocytes, are contained within small cavities known as lacunae, little lakes. Osteocytes communicate with each other and with the Haversian canal through a branching network of canals. Bone cells. 4 different types of cells are associated with bone, however, they should all be considered as different functional states of the same cell type. Osteoprogenitor cells, osteoblasts, osteocytes, and osteoclasts. Osteoprogenitor cells comprise the population of cells in the innermost layer of the periosteum, the endosteal lining cells of the marrow cavities, and lining cells of the Herbartian canals and Volkmann's canals. Osteoblasts, differentiated bone-forming cells responsible for production of bone matrix. Its secretion of collagen and ground substance makes up the initial unmineralized bone or osteoid, also associated with classification of the matrix. Osteocytes, mature bone cell represent a transformed osteoblast. It is enclosed by the bone matrix that it had previously laid down. Osteocytes maintain the bone matrix and are able to synthesize and resorb matrix to a limited extent. They extend their cytoplasmic processes through the canaliculi to contact by means of gap injection junction similar to processes of neighboring cells. Osteoclasts, large motile, often multinucleated bone-resorbing cells. Their precursors are stem cells in blood-producing tissue of bone, marrow, and spleen. Stem cells differentiate into bone-resorbing monocytes and then fuse with others to form large multinucleated osteoclasts, considered to be members of the diffuse mononuclear phagocyte system. Composition of bone. Adult bone is 25% water, 45% mineral, and 30% organic matter. Calcium constitutes about 37% of the mineral content of bone. Phosphorus accounts for 18% of the mineral content of bone. Organic fraction of bone is about 90%